The drum machines were an outlet. Drum machines were a fluke. You have to have a demand for a product. And the demand really comes from, let's face it, Kraftwerk. Kraftwerk. We can't say Kraftwerk enough. Although some people may say it too much without saying Giorgio Moroder. Giorgio Moroder and Kraftwerk conjoined, developed this language that we have. But ultimately, when Kraftwerk did Trans-Europe Express, that became a staple of Grandmaster Flash's set, therefore a hip-hop standard for breaks. For those who played old records trying to make new songs out of. Trans-Europe Express was made a standard, a break, by Grandmaster Flash in 1977. But if we flash forward, no pun intended, to the drum machine era, Kraftwerk released Computer World. Some people would say their swan song, their magnus opus. This is the album that ushered in electro. Electro would not be electro without Computer World. Computer World's possibly the greatest album, although electro fans fail to actually investigate Kraftwerk's history to see that they once played flutes. That's alright, it is still the thing that ushered it in. And Afrika Bambaataa was the new DJ, the hot DJ, the independent DJ who was available. And as someone who was available, he wanted to recreate the new Kraftwerk, not the old Kraftwerk. And if Jazzy Sensation didn't recreate anything but, a break, a song, a hit, he wanted to do something more in line with what DJs in the Bronx did. Breaks culture. You play the Mexican, you play Yellow Sunshine, and you play Trans-Europe Express, and you keep those breaks going, and you cut and you respond to the dancers of which breaks do you play. Computer World came out in '81. This was his break. This was his album. You could play the entire B side of Computer World. You could play the entire A side of Computer World. This thing dictated a dance floor, dominated. Now he was disappointed with Jazzy Sensation. So how do you turn Computer World into a new record? You gotta have someone to recreate these sounds. So he found a keyboard player by the name of John Roby, who was already working, already had a record, already peddling it. Afrika Bambaataa had already been signed to Tommy Silverman, Tommy Boy Records, which wasn't that big of a deal. Tommy Silverman was more known for his disco report in New York, the way that Bo Crane was known for his disco report in Miami. So his foot in the industry was a different footing. Not financial necessarily. Not as an establishment, but as someone who dictated tastes. Someone who reported on the front lines. Tommy Silverman's very important. When Tommy Silverman said, "I'll get you a producer," and brought Tommy Silverman brought in Arthur Baker, and Afrika Bambaataa brought in John Roby, worlds collide. Planets collide. And 1981, before that really collided, Tommy Silverman and Afrika Bambaataa did a little demo in a studio known as In the Red. In the Red demo, in November of 1981, proved some success, a little bit of problems, but they proved some success. So in May of 1982, the real version was done. Intergalactic Studios, Berzuti on the boards, John Roby on keyboards, Arthur Baker orchestrating it, and a mystery man named Joe, who owned an 808 that they hired through the Village Voice to bring out an 808, pay him cash, program a beat, take his 808 home, drop the tape, you got your beat, and that song known as Planet Rock. And that is the beginnings of electro as we know it. The irony is that by no means was the beginning of the formula. The truth is, Newcleus was there beforehand. Newcleus was a very independent operation. Newcleus was Jam On Productions, the DJ crew from Brooklyn, picking up where Grandmaster Flowers left off. And Newcleus, or Jam On Productions, were the ones that started to figure out this drum machine thing, because they're cheap. $1,000 for an 808. If you can find that and buy it, you're good to go. And he bought it long before Planet Rock was released. And he produced a song called Computer Age. We call it Push the Button. He did this in late 81, early 82, just as much as Planet Rock did. He produced this song, not having a record deal, being a DJ crew in Brooklyn, took it around New York, tried to sell it, and the only people who would bite was a guy named Joe Webb, Mayhew Records. Now, Joe Webb is known in the industry. He was washed up. This is the guy who signed the Bobettes when the Bobettes, who were a doo-wop group, were way in the history. They were long past. And he was still signing them, putting them out. So that tells you the level of desperation that was at play. So when something new in the wake of Rapper's Delight comes to the table, you can't say no. You have to take it. However, Joe Webb was an industry man. And industry men don't say yes, they say maybe, and let's try something else. And he did. He said, let's put this song in the back burner. Computer age, push the button. That's one of the greatest electro songs possibly ever. In my top 2. But Joe Webb had that theory. Let's push it to the back burner. So he said, make another song.